This week on Kentucky Afield. Mussels are one of the most important parts of our environment. Check out the work that's being done to bring endangered species back and make their populations as strong as possible.
For freshwater mussels, this is it. This is one of the best places in the world.
Next, wild game recipes are a must-have, and we've got over 24 for you, complete with nutritional information. Then, before you can cook that game, you've got to harvest it. We're in the woods searching for venison. It's all next on Kentucky Afield.
Such a pretty fish.
Beautiful.
This pond is plumb loaded with frogs.
They're everywhere in here. Yeah, this is a good fish right here. Really good fish.
Come here, girl.
Hey, boy. That's a big rabbit.
Nice job. Yes! Yes! My first muskie. Mercy Leo!
Yeah, look at it, it's a keeper.
Here it goes! Boom!
Wow, that happened fast.
Hello, and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Join us as we journey the Commonwealth in search of outdoor adventure. The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has many biologists that are working hard to restore many endangered species. Now let's meet the biologist who has restored the most. Monty, I have to tell you, I've been with the Department of Fish and Wildlife for about 13 years now, and this is something I've always wanted to do, was to get out here on the Green River with you. For someone like yourself that has studied mussels your entire life, this kind of is nirvana, is it not?
For freshwater mussels, this is it. This is one of the best places in the world. 75 species, which is 1/3 of North American fauna, right here in the Green River.
You're spending a lot of time working on a lot of mussels, but especially the endangered mussels, and I think that's a little bit what we're doing today, right?
Right. This river has 17 federally listed species as threatened or endangered. We have 27 endangered mussels in Kentucky, and so we have a large portion of them here in the Green, and this is one of the best rivers we have left in the Ohio River system.
So when someone says mussels, you know, it's a part of the environment, but they're really, really important because mussels are essentially filters.
There are filter feeders. They're pulling out all the mud and silt, which nobody likes. They're also eating things that can harm us, like bacteria, even harmful algae. They're eating that material and getting it out of the water. So there's over probably 50 to 100,000 little filters out there running constantly. And these things are not small. They sometimes are the size of a baseball, sometimes the size of a dinner plate.
So one of those endangered or federally listed species is the one we're actually putting in today, right?
That's right, and it's called the pink mucket. And it's a species that we've been working with for a while now. Our first release of that species was in 2007 at this site. So 12 years later, we're coming back and we're bringing more. We have several thousand in the Green River now at about 10 locations. So we think after a couple more years, we're gonna be done with that species as far as reintroducing it. We're already seeing them reproduce in the wild. And so it's just a matter of time now before we see juveniles popping up at different places from where we put them.
Wow, now that's incredible. When you can start getting natural repopulation, that's really the ultimate goal, right?
That's the goal.
This is the pink mucket, right?
That's correct.
So, obviously the very first thing that's going to get your attention is the green and the purple. I have actually been down to the facility and tagged these before. These are tags. Tell me what these tags mean.
Well, these tags are a way that we can track individuals. So this one here, for instance, has a little B tag on it with the number 29. So we measured this animal and have recorded it. So that way, if we find it 5 years from now, we'll know how much it's grown. The purple just basically indicates the year class. So everything that goes out in 2019 has purple on it. So it makes it a little easier.
How old are these?
They're 2 years old.
How long will it take these to be able to start producing offspring?
Year 5 and 6. So these about 3 or 4 more years from now, you should start seeing them reproduce. The animal can hold several thousand little tiny caterpillar larvae. So those have to contact a fish host. So usually the fish has to get close enough to it that they can shoot the larvae out of the water and hit the gills. And then this one here is a species that it has a little fishing like lure that's maybe 2 to 3 inches long. It'll sit there and jerk it back and forth, and then a bass comes along, strikes at that, and as soon as it hits it, it'll actually get larvae loaded on its gills.
So to bring this species back, you have to first find out what it prefers as a host fish, check the populations of those in this particular stream, because if that's down, then you already know there's potentially a problem.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm very interested to see where you're going to put these in, and then are we going to check and see if we locate any mussels from previous years?
We are, and we're going to look and see what kind of species are here and look at the tremendous diversity. We're going to see a lot of mussels today.
So, Bonnie, what are these sticks you have in the water here for?
In order to monitor a site, we have to mark the site. So we want to measure from the bank, and we have a GPS coordinates, and we randomly sample in the coordinate system in the grid. We want to put this on the bottom of the river, and we want to count everything that's inside this grid. And then we will move it to a random location, and we'll do this 100 and 200 times sometimes. That'll give us a good estimate of how many mussels are in the whole area. We don't know what we're going to get here, but we're going to see what we can find, and then hopefully we'll see a lot of different kinds and maybe even a rare one or two.
So, Laura, you've been with the department for a long time.
I have.
And you're working now with Kentucky Wild. You said this is the first time you've made this
It
trip.
is. I've been really excited to come out in the field with Monty and his crew, so this is the first time for me to go help restore endangered mussels.
You know, we all work in Frankfurt. We've been down to the mussel facility. We see some of the great work that they do, but to get out in the field and see how it's impacting this river system is amazing.
Yeah, it is really exciting. And you know, Kentucky Wild, even though it's a really new program, I've worked here since 1994. We've had a staff of folks that work just on the species that maybe folks don't hear about. Things like bats and salamanders and songbirds, birds of prey, all those creatures that are out there and make up 90% of what Kentucky's wildlife are, but many folks don't ever see, and mussels are a perfect example of that.
Endangered.
Wow. So that is the catch out of a 1 meter square. And a lot of different species of mussels here, right? You're going to go through them and figure out what we've got.
All kinds of them. This is the pink mucket, and we're going to be releasing these today, but this one was put out 2 years ago, so we know they're doing pretty good. So we're glad to have these here now in the population. Here's another federal endangered species called the fan shell. This species is actually doing fairly well in Kentucky. In the Green and the Licking River, it's got some of the best populations in the world. This is a monkey face. We can see we've got 3 different ages here. You can tell by all the little lines on here how old they are.
Okay.
So you can just look at the little rings, kind of like you do a tree. This is a fluted shell. It gets its name from these little ridges on the side. We have a pistol grip. This one used to be called the buckhorn.
You said pistol grip. Is it
Right.
because
It's
of
like
this?
this right here.
Yep.
It's the shape of a pistol, the
Yeah.
handle of a pistol.
Gotcha.
We have the 3 ridge. This gets fairly large. This is a fairly small one, but it can get pretty large. And the mucket. This is the most common thing we have in the Green. And there's a young one right there.
Right there beside it.
This is called the pink hill splitter, and it gets its name because when it's in the substrate, it'll be like that, and you step on it, it can really injure your foot.
Look at this one. Cracked.
It's been stepped on or something, but it's repaired itself. And so it's pretty remarkable that it can do that.
It's fantastic.
This is a spike, and here's a closely related one called the kidney shell. This is the wavy rayed lamp mussel. This is the pocketbook. There's a lot of comical names to these guys.
Well, I'd say we get these back to the grid and release some new ones today.
That's a good idea.
Lieutenant McQuarrie, how you doing?
Good, sir. Good to see you again.
Today we're going to talk about something a little different. Hunting from a boat. This can be a lot of fun, especially for small game hunting.
In counties that have a big river system, we see that a lot. People tend to love to hunt from a boat after small game, squirrels in particular.
I know that when I was a kid, my dad would take me out fishing, and when squirrel season was in, we would be fishing down a waterway and hunting at the same time, and it doubled your chances. It really is a good way to keep a kid active.
It sure is. You can stay active all day long. The things we have to avoid is, and you need to know, is you can hunt big game from a boat. So your deer, elk, turkey, and bear can't be hunted from a boat, but again, it's the perfect opportunity to fish and hunt squirrels.
What species can be hunted from a boat?
It's your small game species and your fur bears.
So hunting squirrels from a boat, what else do you need to know? I mean, even if you're hunting, your boat has to be legal. You have to make sure you've got the throwable device, your fire extinguisher, everything. You got to make sure your boat is legal, right?
Sure, all your proper safety equipment, and the next thing is you have to make sure that they have permission to hunt on that property and retrieve that animal.
Okay, that's something that you really need to remember. So Army Corps of Engineer properties in and around lakes and rivers and streams where there's no houses behind you, perfect opportunities for this, right?
It is the perfect opportunity if it's open to hunting.
And wildlife management areas as well.
You're exactly right, Chad. For example, Green River WMA is a perfect opportunity.
So you can come out here, do a little fishing, keep your kid active, and it's a really fun, safe way. But you got to make sure we're only talking about small game and fur bearers. No hunting of any type of big game, turkeys, deer, elk, none of that can be done from a boat.
You're exactly right, and we have to make sure when we talk about fur bears that you are not allowed to harvest raccoons or possums from a boat casting the rays of a light.
The other thing is some people do use boats for waterfowl hunting. Now that gets a little bit more dicey because that boat cannot be under power.
What we're trying to avoid are people using the boat to motor ducks up and shoot them while they're on the move.
Okay, so they're allowed to use the boat to get to their spot and hunt from the boat, but they can't be under power while shooting.
That's exactly right, Chad.
If you've never tried hunting from a boat, it's a lot of fun and it can be done very safe. You just got to make sure that you prepare, have your permission lined out, and make sure your boat is safe. Are you a hunter or an angler that's looking for a new way to prepare your catch? Well, you're going to love this new program called Cook Wild Kentucky. We're here today in Woodford County, and I'm here with Jan Nappage with the University of Kentucky. You're all about eating healthy. You're here with Cook Wild Kentucky. Tell me what Cook Wild Kentucky is.
So Cook Wild Kentucky is a new initiative with University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension where we are working on creating nutritious and delicious wild game recipes.
Okay, so if you're a hunter and a fisherman and you've got a recipe book, but you don't know, am I really eating healthy? This is a way where you can find out exactly what you're eating.
Yes. So we have a registered dietitian in our office who looks at each recipe. She will put it through this nutrition processor that we have, and she can tell us all the nutrients that are in it from the macros, so that's your fat, your carbohydrates, your protein, down to your micronutrients like your vitamins and minerals. We're able to tell what are in each of these recipes.
And these recipes range from fish all the way to turkey and deer and rabbit, a little bit of everything.
Right. We were talking with Feeding Kentucky, formerly known as Kentucky Association of Food Banks. We were talking with their executive director, and she said, sometimes we get donated venison, and because people have lost touch with where their food comes from at times, people have been intimidated to cook this venison at home. So it comes in the ground form, 1 pound packages, and when they are offering it to clients at the food pantries, they might not take it because they're worried that they won't know how to cook it. So this was one way that University of Kentucky's nutrition education program knew that we could help, because we're always creating and taste testing recipes, and we said, we can do one small part and we can create recipes that are easy to follow, but then they meet the dietary guidelines for Americans, and so it's a win-win. It was really awesome to partner with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, Kentucky Department of Agriculture, Feeding Kentucky, Hunters for the Hungry, to make this possible. Because I just think this is one avenue that Kentuckians can use to get those nutrients into their weekly, monthly meals.
So Elizabeth, we have some ground venison here today. And you're going to make this deer camp sausage. So tell me, how did you guys come up with these recipes?
Well, so these recipes were put together through the SNAP-Ed program, through the Cooperative Extension Service, and we really want these recipes to be nutritious, but we also want them to be good, and we want them to be tasteful, but also easy for people to make.
Okay.
So I'll show you the recipe. It's very simple. Anybody who has ever taken a deer has likely had ground venison. As you know, with ground venison, it's very lean. So we are going to add a little bit of ground pork.
Okay.
So that, of course, is going to add just a little bit of flavor, and that's not only going to add just a little bit of fat, it's still going to be a nutritious meal, but it's also going to add just a little bit of flavor, and it's going to make it a little more tender when we cook this up.
So the great thing about this is, regardless of what time of year, what type of species, there are recipes for about every taste
Yes.
and at any time of year.
That's right.
From fish to duck.
Exactly. And with these recipes, that's what we want. We want people to know all these different ways that you can cook it. And you can edit it in your kitchen, you know, do what your family likes. So in this recipe, there's a variety of different seasonings here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and mix that in with my hands.
So for a person who wants to make this at home, they can get the exact recipe at what website?
That's right, at planeatmove.com.
Okay.
All of these recipes are available.
Okay. And also the county extension offices have recipe cards as well.
Yes, so the county extension offices in Kentucky, in every county we have an extension office, these recipe cards are available. You can just stop in and ask them for the Cook Wild Kentucky recipe cards and we'll have those for them. So now we're gonna make patties, and the recipe makes about 16 patties, depending on the size, of course. And we're gonna go ahead and fry those up in the skillet. Here is our sausage.
That smells fantastic.
It smells wonderful. So there is our healthy deer camp breakfast sausage.
So, and this here, all the nutritional value is all right here. You guys have already calculated it all out. What have been your favorite recipes so far?
Well, so this is one of my favorite recipes, but as far as the Cook Wild Kentucky program goes, I have done a little bit with teaching people how to cook wild game, because of course it's different than just cooking beef or pork.
Tell me your one tip you give a person that's going to try cooking wild game for the first time. What would that one tip be?
Low and slow.
Okay.
Yes.
Low and slow.
Yes.
I'm going to give this a try if you don't mind.
Yeah, give it a try. Give it a bite.
Pinch off a piece of this, see what we've got here. Looks great.
You can smell the sage and the oregano.
It's a great idea, and I look forward to utilizing most of these recipes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for showing us this, and deer
here.
camp sausage. Can't beat it. So Becky, we're learning about all these opportunities to prepare wild game. And you're with Field to Fork with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. This has got to be a perfect match for you.
It really is. We're super excited to share these resources with those who participate in Field to Fork. We're actually going to link the planeatmove.com website to the Field to Fork webpage at fw.ky.gov.
So you're really introducing people who are interested in the outdoors, interested in hunting, but really don't know, how do I get involved? What is the next step past just having some interest?
Right.
Well, then there's another big barrier. When a person goes out there and they have no idea how to handle or process their game, they take an animal, then they're like, wow, now what? Well, you're making this whole transition much easier for them.
We're trying to, yeah. We got feedback from the public. They wanted to learn how to hunt, but then they want to know how to get the meat on the table. So that's the whole fork part of Field to Fork, is teaching them how to cook it. And now we're really excited they can know exactly what's going on their plate nutrition-wise with these recipes.
It's a great fit for your program with Field to Fork, and having the resources now for people to generate these recipes, share these recipes, and then give all the nutritional values. It really is a perfect program for you guys.
Yes, it is.
Now, after watching that recipe for deer, it's time to hit the woods for a deer hunt.
We're on our second farm we're going to hunt this year, and we don't have any stands out here right now. We've picked a location that's got two really good pinch points where deer are crossing through a fence. This is a location we plan on hunting all year. It's going to take some cleaning out to create some shooting lanes. We're going to set this permanent buddy stand up. It's great for us to video out of. Plenty of deer trails, plenty of sign around here. I think this is a really, really good location. Well, we've just put this stand up. Man, am I excited about what all I can see. This is a massive bedding area. I do believe that we will catch one coming in. This will be a stand I'm going to stay in fairly late in the morning to catch a deer coming in to bed, because there's beds all over this area out here in front of us. And we can shoot out to 40 yards, so we'll see what happens. I'm pretty happy with it. We've got a doe standing right here about 50 yards to our left. We just have to hope now that we're sitting in that deer's bed run. She's out there feeding. Hope that after that deer there is done feeding, it'll come right here to bed. Looks like there's two. We got two does feeding across this field to us right here. That first one is a little bigger than the back one, but both of them are at least 2-year-old deer. Deer up here in this field, up in this corner. If they cross the fence, they could come out in front of us, but I'm hoping they'll come back. If they make their way to bed right there as the sun comes up, we should get a shot. Here they come. They're walking down the fence. Here she comes. She may cross right here. Gosh. That deer busted me, but I was already at full draw. Put one right there, pretty good. I don't think she went very far at all. Let's go on and get down and go check it out. Well, here she is. There was no needing to blood trail this deer. She started out, she was shot about 8 or 10 yards away. And she tried to jump this fence here and couldn't make it the first go, then did get over it. It looks like when she got to here, she decided to try to go under. And that's where she expired. And man, what a hole that broadhead put in this deer. It's a very humane kill. Less than 10 seconds, this deer was on the ground and made it about 10 yards. Very beautiful deer, very glad to have it. You know, in September, as it usually is around our household, the freezer is empty. So we're extremely glad to have this deer. Well, let's get on back and get the truck and get this deer out of here.
Now let's check in and see who else has been out having fun in this week's Ones That Didn't Get Away. Check out this beautiful bull elk that was taken by Jimmy Elgood. This bull was taken in Perry County in the second week of bull firearm season. Nice job. Check out this really nice 15-pound catfish that was caught by Hunter Collier at Charlie Cook Lake. Congratulations. Check out this really nice buck taken by Tate Philpott. This was actually his very first deer ever. Took it when he was 8 years old with help with his younger brother Trace in the background. Here we have 6-year-old Trace Philpott with his very first deer ever, a buck taken in Clay County. Jason Caldwell of Mount Sterling caught this really nice bass out of Lake Cumberland with his buddy Josh Stamper. Josh said he was just glad to put this fish in the net. Nice job. Here's a really pretty deer taken by Patrick Evanston, a nice 10-pointer taken during the rifle season in Boone County, Kentucky. Congratulations. Want to help protect the natural resources that we all love and get paid to do it? The Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources is hiring nearly 20 officers with spots open in every region of the state. To apply or to see the minimum requirements, go online to personnel.ky.gov and click Find a Job. Remember, hunting and fishing on private property is a privilege. Always ask permission and thank the landowner. Until next week, I'm your host, Chad Miles, and I hope to see you in the woods or on the water.